usually when we talk about our opponents, talk about 3 things we like, 3 things we don't like. And we say, you know what? Sometimes it could be difficult, but you can't be in the NFL and not like anything about people, right? Or a team. Regardless of how bad they are, it's always going to be something, some type of attribute, some type of quality that they have. So I wanted to try this exercise today with these individuals, not just those 2, but I also wanted to include Josh Dobbs in this conversation as well, because we know with Dobbs, in terms of where we stand right now, he probably fits Matt Canada's quote unquote offense the best, because we know and we've heard about how much of a premium is put on the ability to run, how much of a premium they put on running the RPO and things like that. And currently Dobbs is the only athlete to that level that could effectively run it. So I want to include him in this as well, but we'll first start with Mason Rudolph.
Okay.
First starting with Mason. Just 3 things we like about him.
Okay.
And this is for y'all in the chat as well. And don't get me with I don't like anything about him. Nah, because you're not going to tell me you don't like anything about him, but then you're going to try to sell me on drafting Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis or any of these other guys coming out right now. Because for all 3 of those dudes, I can tell you firsthand, none of them are definitively better than Mason. None of them are definitively worse than Mason either. But if you're high on those guys for any variety of reason, you got to be high on Mason. That's just how it goes, baby. So yes, I am forcing you, putting your feet to the fire. 3 things you like about Mason, and only Mason right now. We'll get to Haskins next and then Dobbs after that. But just the Mason element. Let us know the 3 things we like about him. I know for me, the first thing I'll start with is his mental toughness. I start with that because this is a guy that we saw have one of the, bad moments of all bad moments when he got knocked out a year, or was that 2 years ago, right? Earl Thomas style. We know that was rough. A lot of people, they come back from that and they're shaky. They're gun shy. They don't want to take another hit. A lot of people
think he was, though, because of that moment.
Yeah. So,
he did seem a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Who knows, though? Who knows? We could speculate about that.
So I bring that
day
up initially, but I think about how he looked when he returned that season, that Jets game. He didn't look timid.
Game, for sure.
I think about last season, that Browns game at the end of the year. He did not look timid. Even the Lions game, not saying that he was perfect, but he did not look timid. In fact, we saw him run a guy over and get up and flex on him. For me, that mental toughness is something that I definitely like about him, because it's not easy to have as a young player, as a heavily scrutinized player either, because let's be real, a lot of people scrutinize him year round. We know that part. A lot of scrutiny happens towards him, but for him to still show up, for him to still believe in himself, and for him to still actually want to play here.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the other part.
He keeps saying, I want to be the quarterback here. I don't know why.
Right. It's like, man, if y'all...
Maybe because you have a shot now,
I mean?
But...
like, if y'all didn't believe in it to that point, you keep talking like, why would I want to show you my talent? I'm going to take my talent over here and hit you with the Mike Hilton. I'm going to be waving at you and posting social media vids on you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to take that approach. But for Mason, he's like, yo, I want to do it here. So for me, that screams, yo, this dude mentally, he's on another level. Because I'm not that mature. I'm not. But I like that about him, man.
Well, there's a few things with that even too. Because I agree with you. The one thing I wrote down on here is overcame adversity.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think right now, as we could look back, hindsight 2020, Duck was the better story.
Mm-hmm.
But Mason's the better quarterback than Duck.
Yeah.
He just is. More talented. Duck's run lasted about 3 games, and it just completely fell off. But fans would still much rather have Duck in the Steelers system, even right now. Mm-hmm. I think everyone just likes Duck better than Mason Rudolph.
Yeah. But why? The folk hero.
The cool story. Yeah, it's expectations. It's expectations because Duck, 0 expectations. Mm-hmm. Mason was kind of mucking up the offense. Like, it was dismal for 2 games in a row. The Browns game where he threw 4 picks, and then came in the Bengals game. I don't think we scored in the first half. We're like, all right, something needs to change. Duck came in, won that game, won the Browns game, won the Cardinals game. We were on a high. It's like, oh, man, Duck's looking amazing. Screw Mason. But anyway, people still have those sentiments.
Yeah.
Even though I think as we look at both of their bodies of work, Mason is definitely the better quarterback. So there's that. But also in terms of adversity, I just mentioned it. Him getting benched in that Bengals game. Mm-hmm. And then also the Browns game where he's getting knocked over the head with the helmet, Myles Garrett, that whole thing that played out afterwards
that
too.
That was nuts. And yeah, you're right. This
off the field
because
stuff.
The slander. I'm glad I totally forgot that part where he essentially accused that man of, using a racial slur. And it's like, bro, we won't have to accuse you. It's already enough people that do that. It's kind of like if you accuse everybody of like rape or you accuse everybody of, stuff that's like, no, man. You ain't really do that right there. That was not the case. Don't just throw that out there because now you water down the guys who really have to be affected by that. For Mason, yeah, he did have to deal with that false accusation, man.
You're 100% right. So from that point to the Jets game, then he got hurt because it was crazy because in that Jets game, I was actually excited to have Mason come in for Duck and how he looked. It was like, oh, wait, we might actually have a chance. If Mason keeps playing like this, because our defense was really good, we might actually have a chance in the playoffs.
Yep.
Then we lost in that Jets game, and it was kind of.
But remember, he also got hurt in that game too, though.
He got hurt.
He got hurt in that game.
That's why we lost. I thought we would have won if we stayed in.
I definitely would agree.
We tied it up 10-10.
Yeah.
All momentum shifted in our favor. But his last 3 games, that Jets game, the Browns game, he looked good in, and the Lions game, granted, I didn't think he was that good in. But to your point, looked like he belonged, looked confident, had some of those runs. I think it was more of just him missing some bad throws, especially towards the middle of the game. He had that really nice first drive, but there were some points where our drives just completely stalled out because he whiffed on people. But then the overtime, it wasn't his fault, and we've talked about that. I mean, it was the on-time
glad that you brought that up too, because I do feel like with Mason in that Lions game, people are so quick to point out him missing Ray McLeod in the end zone, and that's all they want to talk. Oh, he missed him in there. If he hit that, it's a different game. And they casually forget the 2 throws that he hit to Deontay and to Pat in clutch moments that both ended with those 2 guys turning the ball over.
The other drive in OT was Kendrick throwing the ball over his head, so that kind of screwed that.
It's drive. Like, man, people are quick to minimize that success and highlight the negativity solely to push forward a narrative. And it's like, man, we don't have to do that. Just take the facts, baby. Take the facts. But I do like that. All right. So for me, my second thing that I like about Mason, I do feel like at times, man, I like his deep ball. I think that he throws a nice deep ball when he actually throws it out there. Now, that'll be part of the stuff that we'll talk about in terms of when I criticize him, but I do like when he throws it. I think he has a really nice deep ball. The question is, how often will he throw it and taking the chances of it? But when he does throw it out there, having the chance to see it in practice, me being able to have the chance to see it in a couple of games. Obviously, we know that Browns game was where it was really on display, where he was really taking advantage, hitting Claypool, hitting James Washington a couple of deep shots from a year ago. To me, I like that about him.
I would just agree with you on that because I have 2 right now. I was trying to think of a third one on the spot. But you're right. In the Browns game, he was having nice deep ball. Then he got he had 4. He had 4 nice throws. I don't know what his percentage was. Did he go 4-6, 4-7? Was it 4-5? I can't remember. But he had 4 nice deep shots in that Browns game. And the Jets game, he had some really nice mid-tier throws too.
And we all walked away saying yo, maybe he can throw this thing at a high, what we saw him coming out of college, because that's what it looked like coming out of college. It was yo, he can throw the deep ball, he can stretch the field, and it just seemed like that year when he first got the opportunity to start, he just would not throw it. And even Randy Fiegner had talked about it. He was like, yo, we got stuff dialed up. He just has to believe it. He has to throw. You remember them comments?
I do remember that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so I'll add to that. Throwing the deep ball when you got the confidence, when you got that nothing to lose attitude, because that's when we really started to see it in these last 3 games. He didn't really take any deep throws in the Lions game, but in terms of the Browns and Jets game, because it did feel like in that 2019, his first 6 or 7 games, just really conservative. And when he would try to throw it deep, they looked like ducks. I don't know what it was, if he was trying to think too much of his mechanics, as he's throwing instead of just letting it loose.
Yeah.
And that was the weird knock. And we would talk to John when we were up at these games, and he was not a big Mason fan, but he was always saying Mason can't throw the deep ball. He's got a weak arm. Right. I never thought he had a weak arm, but it was the release on it, how the ball looked, always did look weird. And it was just what is going on here? Because there's no way his arm strength is not good.
Correct.
Because you're right. That was the positive coming out of college that everyone talked about.
Yeah.
But then, the last however many games, he just had this nothing to lose attitude and started slinging it. And it looked good. So hopefully, if he is the guy, he keeps that up, or just at least keeps it up for his own sake in the competition.
No, absolutely, man. And then the last positive that I'll speak on, and then we'll do is this actually. So I'll do my last positive, you'll do your last positive, and we'll react and read off the positive comments that people have said as it pertains to Mason Rudolph, what they like about him. All right. And then after that, we'll obviously transition to what we don't like.
Sure.
But for me, the last positive that I have is I like his youth but experience, because he's still young, right? You talk about a quarterback that's still 25?
No, he's 27.
27? Okay.
He's gonna be 27.
So he's not 27 right now. He's turning 27.
Before the season.
Right. So he'll be 27, but he's still young. He's not 30. That's the big thing. And we're talking about experience. He has at least had almost a full season of starts under his belt. We know that talked about some of the adversity he's overcome, but he also has had some success as well. But either way, he can hang his hat on NFL productivity. Whereas when you talk about, guys that really have not been out there at all or have, less than 4 or 5 starts, there's really not a lot of experience there. You talk about rookie quarterbacks. It's a crapshoot, not a lot of experience there. But at least with Mason, he has had success here and he's also had failures here. So he knows at least what it takes or what it should take to be consistent going forward.
I'm trying to look up some comparisons, some people that you could look at and have some hope for Mason. One of them was Steve Young. Doesn't look like he really got his chance until 29-30. I want to see what Rodgers' age was when he finally got his shot.
He's actually a good one too. Yeah,
so he was 3 years on the bench, and not comparing him to either of these guys. I'm just saying,
just in the sense of
is there a blueprint? Yeah, is there a blueprint out there where you could sit, 4 or 5 multiple years and actually have a solid NFL career? Rodgers, actually, he was young when he started. He was 25. So yeah, he came out after his junior year.
Gotcha.
He was 22 his rookie year.
I don't even know if Mason redshirted while he was there.
I have no clue. Yeah. But yeah, he's going on 27. This is going to be his 5th year in the league too. So for mine, this is actually another one that I have for negative too. It's almost like a double-edged sword here. I protects the ball because outside of that Browns game, and I don't know if I necessarily like that because sometimes you want your quarterbacks to be a little bit of a gunslinger out there because that's what I grew up with. Ben Roethlisberger, some of the greats, just you let it fly. You mix the good with the bad here and there. Because like Joe Burrow.
Unless it's Kirk Cousins, then you don't like that.
Well, no, he's actually, I think he has like single-digit picks.
But you don't like him though.
I don't.
Yeah.
He's a stat patter, and when it really comes down to it. Why you gotta be
all that, man?
He's a stat pattern when it comes down to it.
Why you gotta be all that, man? Dang on, man.
I don't want him. Yeah, part of me likes this, part of me doesn't.
Yeah.
Because outside of that Browns game where he had the 4 picks, that 2019 season, he ends up with 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
Very true.
I think the problem with protecting the ball, he has 13 touchdowns on the season. Like I just want more. I want more of what we were seeing in the last couple games of him, the Jets game, the Browns game. And he said in the interview, he's like, I gotta, what kind of like, I don't think he swore. What did he say? Can't lose attitude, something like that. He's like, I just got that I don't give a shit attitude coming into the season because I've been to the low and like I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So maybe we will see him sling it out a little bit more, and we talked about that with his deep ball. But the crux of what we've seen so far, the base, is that he's actually kind of decent protecting the ball.
Yeah. I like that. So those were our 3 likes. So now I'm going to go in this chat real quick and hop through some of these to see what people were liking about him and not liking about him. Robert Bennett, he says he likes his age, his motivation, and his deep ball. Let's see.
I got Burley 92. The mental, deep ball. He says strong chin.
I seen that as well. A Sabo says his hair, his voice, his eyes. Well, I have heard I don't know if he's a playboy or not, but he's out there. People like him. He's always dating someone. I always see he's like Mason with such. I'm like, all right, shout out to the homie.
What's hilarious though, he does not come off that way in the interviews.
He doesn't. Yeah, no, he does not.
He comes off as very much a nerd.
Yeah. It's like, man, maybe he is a chick maggot. I don't know. Jacob Malacio says he loves how tough Mason is. He loves his deep ball. And he loves how he knocked that guy out. Oh, the Lions guy when he ran him over.
Yeah. Oh, he knocked him out for the game?
No, he did. He was asleep, yeah.
Oh, was he?
Bro, yes, he was asleep. That's why he got up and flexed. And that's why I was like, dang, it's funny, man. A year ago, you was on the other end of that. Now, this time around, you flexing.
I didn't know the dude got knocked out for the game.
Yeah, he was asleep, man. Yeah.
Well, all right. We got a comment that you knew was happening.
Uh-oh.
Alex P. 1. Mason is completely garbage.
We're not there yet, so throw that comment away. Bagar Brandon, though, he says he likes his deep ball. He likes the athletic ability. Okay.
I guess that Lions game had some runs.
And he said can take a hit to the head. I guess y'all are wild. Y'all are sick. That's why I'm scared to even go to the negative shit, because I already know it's gonna be a lot of this. I already know. All right, but let's see. Brent Fox, Mason's arm strength, his toughness, and coachability. I keep seeing the arm strength come up a lot, man, but not placement, just the strength though.
We've seen. I swear he's kind of accurate on those short passes. I feel like he is
as well. I feel like if anything, we see a lot more of the short-term accuracy versus like being able to see the deep ball arm strength on display as much. But no, I can dig it.
Yeah, I would say the accuracy might go hand in hand a little bit with what I said about protecting the ball. Now, that's what I think, because it was all short passes, really.
Yeah, and Rod Dolly, he has a similar sentiment: arm strength, pocket poise, and then he goes toughness.
No, I haven't seen enough of that from him.
Okay, now what do you define as pocket poise? Just throwing guys off like Ben does?
No.
Or is like stepping up and climbing and just manipulating the pocket?
He didn't look comfortable most of the time. He started to. He actually did in the 3 games that we talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, not to keep belaboring that point, but yeah, for most of 2019, he just didn't look comfortable in there.
Yeah. Now, I wonder
he even said that himself. He's like, looking back on 2019, I was making wrong decisions, rushing a little too much here or there.
Now, how much of that do you just chalk up to youth?
Maybe.
Because, I mean, that is one of the big reasons why younger guys struggle at this level, right? They don't feel as confident. They don't feel like they have the time because everything happens so much faster at the NFL level. So reads that you can make in college, you get to the NFL, you don't feel like you got that time to make that read. The rushers, your O-line, you feel like you got way more time behind that O-line in college than you do in the league. So I wonder, did that play a part in that as well for him? Because like you said, these 3 games we mentioned from a positive perspective are what? The end of the rookie season, the second,
short sample,
the end of the second year. Then it was the 3rd season. So it's like it's further and further, right? So that's the part where I wonder, was the uncomfortable element more so just a youth related thing? Whereas now, as we continue to get further away, we do see more confidence in the pocket from him.
Yeah, because actually I thought he looked confident in preseason.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I thought he had a fine preseason. I know a lot of people were trying to rip on him, but not everything was his fault. The only bad play I really remember is the fumble on the jet sweep. Everything else, I remember Claypool dropping a wide open slant.
The fumble was on him though. It wasn't like it was.
I blame Canada, if anything.
I know you don't like the jet sweep. We know.
No, I'm real mad about Canada now, dude.
Oh, so it's just him in general.
I do not want him back.
It's just all Canada.
Oh man, I am not thrilled. I'm not thrilled. I got to stew at my house on my couch and think about all the dots we were connecting. I'm like, this really was treason that happened before my very eyes this season.
Deke said, no, I don't care about anything else y'all talk about. It is always Canada to me from here on out. All right, man. I can respect it, bro. I can respect it.
Really disappointing.
It is pretty funny, though, bro. It is pretty funny.
I wish I would have came to my senses earlier, like during the season. Maybe I could have done something about it. Maybe. Like midway through the season, I could have had some State of the Union or something. Yeah. Like, we got to get rid of Canada.
It
like,
is funny,
Ben ain't running this offense. He's placating him too much. Like, I could have done something, maybe. I wish I could have done more.
Maybe next time.
There isn't. That's why I'm mad.
With Haskins, because you already said Haskins your quarterback going forward. Man, we already said you drew your line in the sand. So, when this comes back full circle and it's Haskins' time to, be sabotaged and things like that, then you could be like, bro, I can't believe they would do this, man. Like, I got all this love for my man Haskins. You know what I mean? So that's how it works, man.
Here's the problem. Is because I don't think, and we talked about this, I don't think Canada was brought in for Ben. So I don't think there is going to be any sabotaging here with Haskins and Mason. That's what I mean. It was specifically to the greatest franchise quarterback.
You bring up a good point
in our history, and that's something I guess I'm always got to live with. It might be one of those things. Man. I got to just always remind people as the years go by, just so they don't forget.
Yeah. All right. So that was our 3 positives.
Yeah,
on him, because like I said, we don't want to make this like a crazy 40-hour podcast as we're talking about our 3 quarterbacks. Now we're going to talk about the 3 negatives though about Mason. What don't we like? And do you want to go first, since I went first with the positives?
Yeah, I'll just go from where I left off about protecting the ball. I didn't like the conservative nature that he was bringing to the table early on in 2019. It just seemed like the offense was really stagnant. I know we didn't have the best weapons around us.
Yeah.
But we've heard those interviews from Finkner, those sound bites of him saying, "No, we're opening it up for him a little bit. It's just he's not really taking the shots." Now, I've never watched film, really. I mean,
you're good, bro.
I've never watched film. I was going to say, looking back on the film, I saw some guys wide open and he was missing them. But no, I can't even say I was looking at that. But I remember people talking about it a little bit. And yeah, he didn't take any of those shots.
Yeah.
He never did. And I think it could open up the offense for us. Just, it's weird looking back because the way we talk about him in this preseason, the way we're talking about him, slinging it with potentially the deep ball being one of his strengths, it just wasn't the case. Now I wonder, and he said this in the interview, was it because Ben was technically still on the roster? Did he feel like with Ben going down, he had to save the season and he was just trying too hard, pressing mentally, and it was just too much for him, too much of a burden? Because now he was even saying, and Ben even said this in his last interview, Mason might have a little bit more of a free spirit coming into the season.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be around, him knowing that it's his to lose. He can finally take that leadership role.
Or feeling like you got to be in his shadow the whole time if you were to ever get that opportunity ahead of him.
That's what I wonder. And what's interesting to me, and how I'm looking up that Steve Young age statistic and stuff and the Aaron Rodgers, everyone's got different stories with this. Because we will talk about Mason's 2019. Part of me's bro, you see some of these young quarterbacks come in, Herbert, Burrow, and they're slinging it right off the bat. There's no confidence issues. That's what I want in my quarterback. Right off the bat. Yeah. I don't want any of this we're making excuses for Mason. But at the same time, everyone's got their own story with this. You could probably go through countless people in NFL history where they've had struggles early on and they've made it right. So we'll see with Mason. We'll see. We'll cut him some slack. We'll see what he can do.
I like it. And I don't know if I had said it or not, but let us know in the chat the 3 things that you do not like about Mason's game. Just 3 things. Just Mason, not anybody else. Just 3 things we don't like about Mason. All right. So for me, I'll start with the consistency element for me. When I watch him, at times he flashes. At times he looks like he has some of the prerequisites of being a QB1 or even a franchise quarterback. At times it flashes, but it's just not consistent enough. The sample size hasn't been large enough of the high quality play, of the deep throws, the consistency. And to me, when you talk about, like you said, man, what I want in a quarterback, I want a guy that I can believe in. I want a guy that is going to show up and give me the same thing over and over, or at least 95% of the time. And even with Ben, regardless of what we would say about him, we know, okay, with certain things that this is what we can hang our hat on with him because he consistently showed it, and he showed it for a long time, which is why he's a future Hall of Famer. But with Mason, we just haven't seen it. Not consistently enough. Like you said, even watching him in practice, some days it's like, yo, he looks really good, like the best quarterback out here. Other days you're like, all right, is that the receiver? Is that him? Is this O-line? I just don't know. And that's a part of that consistency that I just need to see more of from him. And until I see that, I can't like that about him. So.
Yeah. I'm actually, I have inexperience as my second one.
No, it is very valid. Yeah.
I kind of want to say more small sample size.
Yeah.
And you can even combine that with the inconsistency, because would you say that Lions game is basically the epitome of what you're talking about?
Yeah.
That's the epitome of it right there.
You miss
first drive was scored. First drive
looked great. Rest of the drives you look kind of underperforming. You miss Ray, but then you hit 2 nice throws in stride to Pat and Deontay, obviously in clutcher moments. But like you said, it's just a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster. 1 minute you're running with confidence. You run a guy over, you flex. Other minutes we're like, are you a statue? Can you move? It's just too up and down. And it's one thing, because nobody's going to be a flat line the whole way through. Everybody has this, but you want to have it as minimum as possible. You think about when you watch Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, even vintage Ben, it's like you weren't getting elite play and then terrible play, and then elite play and then terrible play. It was like, yo, it's always going to teeter in that range. Whereas with Mason, some days, like you said, he's up here.
I remember him completely whiffing Kalen Balazs.
Right. Then other times it's like, bro, what is this?
In that Lions game.
Absolutely, bro.
So, yeah, I'm with you on that. Just small sample size, because that actually, in a way, negates a ton of the positives, because a lot of the positives we are talking about in this small window. Yeah. Oh, we saw it in the Browns game. We saw it in the Jets game. We saw it here, there in the Lions game. Saw it in preseason. That's about it, because the majority of the body of work isn't as good. It's more of the conservative throws. it's not looking as comfortable. Where's the leadership trying too hard? I think that's the majority. That's probably 70 or 80% of what we've seen of Mason. But we've seen the flashes, so that's why I'm going to say small sample size. It hurts a lot of the positives.
Unfortunately, it definitely does, but that is the reality of it, man. That definitely is. For me, the second thing, though, that I don't like about with Mason, this is kind of the low-hanging fruit here, or maybe a mix of opinion, but I don't like his mobility. I know people had talked about his athletic ability. I know we talked about it kind of in a highlight of, hey, man, you know, we're seeing him improve in that area. He even talked about it in the interview where he said that, you know, that's something that the strength and conditioning coaches have helped him improve upon. But at the same time, we're not going to sit here and act like he's a legitimate threat to run the ball. It's not going to act like his legs can dictate what coverage you can play against him. That's what I'm looking for. That's when we talk mobility. That's what I'm referring to, because there's certain guys, even a Patrick Mahomes, who's probably the least mobile of the elite tier quarterbacks, right? When you're talking about Rodgers, when you're talking about Allen and Lamar, well, maybe Rodgers.
I was going to say, I think he's got Rodgers.
Because I'm thinking like older Rodgers. Oh, like
Rodgers
older
can still move though.
But no. Like the old, like vintage Rodgers I thought he could move better. I did personally. I like it. They both about what? Either way, though, what I'm alluding to is this: those two guys aren't the, you know, pinnacle of athletic ability, but they're still very much way more athletic than Mason Rudolph is. And they make you play certain coverages, because if you turn your back to those guys and play man to man, they can hurt you. 20 plus yard scramble. We've seen that from both of those guys. Mason, I don't feel like is capable of that. Not right now, at least. Could grow to it, maybe, but and even then, I don't know if he growing like that type of speed that, you know, in a couple months. But to me, that's something that, you know, I don't like about him. I don't like the lack of mobility. I would like to be a lot better than that, especially in today's NFL. And then when you pair it with Matt Canada, just because of we know what he is trying to accomplish as well.
I got for my third, I don't know. I probably even touched on this with a bunch of my spiels there. I got leadership. It just didn't seem like he was galvanizing the troops like that. It was more of our defense being the leaders of that 2019 season. But it goes back to, you know, Ben goes down. Like, he's been the city's hero for as long as he's been here. Like, that's just tough. And Merrill Hart talked about that in the interview you did. It's probably tough just to come in for him. I can't imagine. But there are people that do it. I mean, Rodgers did it after Favre. Like, even going back to like Jimmy G under Brady, like he didn't. Jimmy G had like the confidence in him.
Yeah,
like hold on,
I don't give a crap. Jimmy G, I forgot. Huh? I thought Jimmy was an earlier pick as well, wasn't he?
Second, yeah.
Yeah, he was second. Obviously, we know with Rodgers, he was end of the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was end of the first. No, yeah, he was end of the first.
He was like 24, 25.
At the end of it, yeah. So
Jimmy G's probably the better example because he had to sit behind Brady a little bit, but when he did get his shot, when Brady had like those suspensions, they went like 3-0, and it's not like they missed a beat at all.
Yeah, very true.
So that's what I mean. That's why I gotta throw that up as a negative for Mason.
Yeah. I can respect it, man. And then the last negative that I have before, you know, we open up to the chat and, you know, read some of their negatives about him as well is the risk management element. That was what you were alluding to when you talked about some of the things you like, but double-edged sword in terms of how he's protecting the ball. He doesn't turn it over. I think his risk management, it needs to be recalibrated. I think that he is a little bit too focused on minimizing the risk element for the sake of cutting down turnovers versus, hey, man, you got to cut it loose at times. You're going to make mistakes. You always hear the cliche, you can't make an omelet without breaking an egg. Like those it's just a part of it. You can't play to not mess up. You can't play to be perfect because you're never going to be perfect. It's the NFL. You're just a human. I mean, it's how it goes. So with that being said, man, I do feel like he needs to open up and take more chances with the ball. Push the ball down the field more, put the ball in tighter windows, or at least attempt to put it in tighter windows. Right now, if he doesn't see a guy be clearly open, you know, he's not trying to throw a guy open. He's not trying to make that defender actually make the play. Just because a guy's in position doesn't mean he's going to make the play. I mean, how many times do we talk about the elite quarterbacks where it's like, yeah, that guy had him blanketed, and he still put that ball where only that receiver can get it. Well, we don't even know if Mason's capable of that because we never see him take those chances. So that's why, for me, risk management is a big negative for me as it pertains to Mason.
Yeah, not a lot at least, because he did have some tight throws in the Browns game he came in for. I mean, he had over 300 yards. He took that shot to Claypool on like 4 times. Claypool actually caught a couple contested balls in that game.
But remember, what happened? Like in that game, the yardage ballooned because he hit 4 deep throws. Yeah. Like that was the difference.
And they were good. They were good balls. Yeah. The one to Deontay too.
Absolutely. But like to me, it's like we're only talking about one opportunity.
I know.
And that's my thing. It's like I want to see more. I want to see you take some chances with that ball. Prove to me that your arm is elite. I don't know if you got elite arm talent. I don't know if you got average arm talent because you don't take enough chances, because I don't see enough of it. So, and part of that could be the product of him knowing that, hey, I don't have a long leash. I'm not the starting quarterback. If I come out here and mess up, maybe they will, try somebody else out, because he has been pulled before in a game. We've seen that with the Bengals game with Duck. So those things still remain in his, chemical makeup mentally. So it's not like that's just going to disappear, but I don't think that should be the reason why he continues to not take risks. I think he does have to start, taking some chance with that rock, man.
He said that, it wasn't perfect back in 2019. He's made errors and he's had some low moments.
Yeah.
And from the interview, it seemed like he's not running away from that. He's acknowledging it. And he said, if anything, it's all that stuff's made me a better person. All the adversity we talked about in the first portion of this. So, yeah, I mean, this is his chance to prove it, because, you can either make the most of it, rise above, or it's just kind of like who you are. It's almost overtaking you in a way.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's not the case with him.